Good afternoon, everyone, and welcome to the Joint Committee Work Session of the Planning, Housing, and Parks and Public Safety Committees of Thursday, April 23rd, 2026. Today we have one topic on the agenda. It's the FY27 operating budget and FY27 through 32 capital improvement program for the Maryland National Capital Park and Planning Commission Park Police. As we begin, I'd like to thank Ms. Farag for preparing the staff report for the topic today, and for once again and always assembling most informative packets for us. I'm going to ask my co-chair between bites, Councilmember Friedson, if he has any opening comments, and then I'm going to ask anyone who is here to please come up for the panel. I'm going to ask Councilmember Friedson if he has any opening comments. I'm going to ask the other joint committee members if they have any opening comments, and then I'm going to ask the panel to please introduce themselves, and if they have any opening comments, and then ask Ms. Farag to walk us through the discussion.
No opening comments.
All right. Best speech ever. Best speech ever. You know, everybody's good? All right. Yeah. All right. So does any of the panel could please introduce themselves?
Mitty Figueredo, Montgomery Parks Director.
Kate Bentley, the budget manager for Montgomery Parks.
Lakeisha Robinson, Montgomery County Park Police Chief.
Abdul Rauf, the Office of Management and Budget.
Do you have any opening comments?
I do not. Thank you, Councilmember Katz.
Thank you. Ms. Farag, if you could please lead us through the packet.
Sure. Good afternoon, everyone. The reason for the joint committee work session on this is to review one very small subset of the entire FY27 recommended operating budget for the Maryland National Capital Park and Planning Commission for the Park Police. And so this is to ensure that Public Safety Committee members are understanding the broader context of where Park Police stands. And I needed to put that in context for this, just for the people listening at home, but also because it's not going to fit as neatly in the Council President's recommended budget approach from her memo from March 19th. So I'm going to go through these different things. I'm sorry?
We know her. She's sitting right there.
Oh, yes.
Yeah.
I'm sorry.
He's making a joke.
Haha, sorry. That was fun. So it has any tax-supported ads or enhancements are supposed to be placed on the reconciliation list. Since park and planning budget is handled in a little bit of a different way, and you have Tier 1 and Tier 2 non-recommended reductions, most of the important items that I'm talking about today are actually on those. So if there's something that you want to restore, then it will have to go on the reconciliation list. Okay? So on page 2, it's about $1 million increase for park and planning. There are no new positions included. They do have 117.6 work years, but this reflects 127 positions, 98 of which are sworn, and in the sworn complement you have 8 vacancies. There was one submission of testimony with public testimony in favor of funding the Park Police. A little bit of department background. As you're very well aware, they provide the community and public safety services to the county's parks. They host more than 14 million visitors each year. It is a large network of different parks that are found across the county, so it's got a unique kind of patrol deployment type of operations going on. In terms of an operating budget equity tool analysis, they are not required to provide this, but the Park Police have been doing racial equity and social justice work for years. We've been updated for the past several years on their different types of initiatives. I'm just going to go over a few of these. And these are providing opportunity to develop partnerships and community relations outside of within a non-enforcement role. So one of the things they have is Autism Engagement Program. They continue to host a therapeutic group session at the Woodlawn facility, and this provides individuals on the spectrum with opportunities to interact with domesticated animals in a structured and supportive environment. They also work in the Long Branch Community Initiative, where they have a series of meetings with the Latino community that provides a safe space to voice concerns and gave Park Police the opportunity to address them. They are also engaging in events like the Juneteenth celebration at Cabin John Park, the 134th anniversary of the Lincoln Park community at Mount Calvary Baptist Church, and Sligo Fest. Those efforts are focused on strengthening their relationships with the community, addressing the community's needs, and creating meaningful opportunities for long-term trust building and community connection. They also participate in a women's empowerment conference with the Montgomery and Prince George's County Park Police which focuses on empowerment and mental health. In terms of budget discussion items, I'm going to go through them starting on page 3. The budget change number 1 is just a $1,000 increase. This change reflects just projected increased pricing. There is no contractually obligated increase here, and they advise that this funding is not necessary for continued operations. So I'm not recommending that this be placed on the reconciliation list. Budget change number 2 for body-worn camera maintenance is $1,000. This is a tier 1 non-recommended reduction. It's an increase to their other services and charges category and is not contractually obligated. However, it is operationally necessary. The Park Police body-worn cameras and the in-car videos are out of warranty and maintenance costs have increased. The other changes, even though they're indicated as not needing to be on the reconciliation list, all but the first one actually are part of the non-recommended reduction tier 1 and tier 2s. The first one is overtime for about $30,000. That's in the base. Their total projected overtime for FY27 is $894,000. In FY26, they've spent $648,000 through March 31st. Budget change number 4 to supplies and materials. This covers the ruggedized laptops for police officers. They have a 5-year replacement cycle, and each laptop costs about $5,000. They should replace 20 laptops a year to ensure timely replacement over the 5-year cycle. However, this year's request was slightly lower. If it was approved, they would have $64,000 total to replace their laptops, and this is an increase over last year's approved amount of $35,000. That is a tier 1, and again, if you want that to be placed on the reconciliation list, that's a restoring of the item. Budget change number 5 for proficiency testing services at $10,000. This again is under other services and charges and reflects a $10,000 increase to their contract for testing services, and it is contractually obligated. For officer promotion tests from police officer 2 to police officer 3, as well as police officer 3 to police officer 4. It is formally an unfunded contractual obligation that was handled by Central Administrative Services, and Park Police are now coordinating this contract to ensure that they anticipate costs before they impact the budget. Budget change number 6 is the CAD, or the computer-aided dispatch system upgrades. It's initially funded here at $212,000, but this is actually split between tier 1 and tier 2. And the tier 1 is the one I'd really like to focus on. Part of this 212 is $80,000 for current CAD system upgrades. The remaining $132,000 has been appropriated to purchase a different CAD system, but that's no longer needed. They advise that this is a contractually obligated spending, and it's in their tier 1 list of non-recommended reductions. The remaining $132,000 is a tier 2 non-recommended reduction. Council staff indicates that the CAD system, which handles their dispatch for their calls, for their police calls, is a critical piece of their operations and recommends restoring this item on the reconciliation list for $80,000. The remaining amount, $132,000, is no longer needed. Budget change number 7 for other contractual increases. This is a small increase, and it includes several contractually obligated increases, including the Blue Peak Logic training database, Power DMS document management, and Versaterm, which is their internal affairs software and public portal. That is a tier 1 item as well. A summary of the committee discussion points is not as full as what I should have put, again, because this is a different process. So everything that's listed on page 4, other than the overtime, is a non-recommended reduction that would have to be proactively restored by you on the reconciliation list. I'm recommending my priorities in terms of operations would be to restore $80,000 for the computer-aided dispatch and the $35,000 for the ruggedized laptops.
Okay. Thank you very much. First of all, let me thank you all for everything you do. I've seen you in the parks, and I know that you do a great job. And I also want to applaud the various ways that you're engaging in your various initiatives, the cultural community outreach, the autism engagement program, and the Long Branch Community Initiative. I know that's not something that you just do every day, but it's something that we sincerely appreciate. And before we get into the various budget items, I know Councilmember Joando had something that I'm going to ask.
It's related to one of the budget items, so.
Okay, go ahead.
Well, first, Chief Robinson, congratulations on I know you've been in the role for a while and acting, but now official, so we're happy to have you in the official role. And I promised my son Isaiah he could take a picture with the Chiefs, so Chief Yamada in the back, okay, so just FYI. And so if you can hang around for that, that would be my budget request.
No quid pro quo.
Yeah, exactly.
Well, he didn't put any pressure on anybody, does it?
Yeah.
Good grief.
But I did want to ask, and you all do a great job, and I remember years ago with Chief McSwain, we had talked about how when your law enforcement was experiencing trouble hiring, you all had not had that. You had closed that gap, and I'm assuming that's still the case. I want to ask about that, number one. And then number two is related to the overtime. I'm seeing you're requesting, there was a request for $30,000 in additional overtime, bringing you up to $894 from $648 last year, $648,000. I just want to know what's driving that and how that relates to the first question, the staffing issue. Does that make sense?
It does. Thank you for that question. First question in regards to hiring. You're right. We don't have any issues with folks wanting to be interested in Park Police. We now do have a gap with 8 positions, but that's because of lapse. So we have these positions on hold. But as soon as we get the go, we do have people in the Harper currently in the background process to be hired. Park Police is a hot commodity. People, they hear about us, they want to be a part of us. So we don't have any issues hiring. I think kind of like to piggyback off of what Chief McSwain had said before, our officers are our best recruiters. They're out here, they're in the parks, and people see what they do, and they're impressed. They want to be a part of that. And in regards to the additional in the overtime budget,
So that the 30,000 increase is just to keep up with the overtime increases. We have seen some issues, especially with the current vacancies. We have 5 vacant officer positions right now. So we are having officers work overtime in order to cover shifts. So because we're not fully staffed.
So it is directly related to not being able to hire those positions, obviously.
Correct.
Okay, and that's what I thought. And those are on hold just budgetarily. That was just a savings. What was I'm trying to remember what
We're at a 10% lapse right now across the department. That includes Park Police.
Yeah.
So there are, and we are at about 10% vacancy,
Okay,
which means we have vacant positions we just can't fill.
got it. I appreciate that. That's what I thought, but I wanted to make sure. And thank you and welcome and thanks again. Thank you, Mr. Chair.
Thank you. Anybody else? No? So I think we need to go through, for the overtime, I don't understand how we could not have overtime when we're doing this. I mean, this, just from a mathematical way.
It's my understanding, but Ms. Bentley, could you correct me if I'm wrong? That's part of the base that was not on the tier 1 or tier 2 recommended.
Correct.
Cuts.
We assumed that to be covered in the county executive's
Yeah.
budget with the compensation increases.
Yes.
So does that, so what do we do?
So you don't
with
have
it?
to worry about that one.
We don't have to worry,
Yeah.
okay.
You have to
Well,
worry
all right,
about
can we do the rest of
2.2
them
and
that
down.
way too?
Yes.
Yeah. And then as far as, I mean, here we're saving $1,000 on car washes.
Yes.
I mean, that'll certainly take care of all of our issues. And I'm in favor of, the body worn camera maintenance and to your point about the $80,000 for the contractual obligation for the CAD system.
Right, so you could restore that and leave the 132,000 is no longer needed.
Right, I'm fine with that. Is the joint committee okay with that?
To restore it.
All right. Yeah, I learned a long
So
time
you
ago,
want the
take
body
yes for
worn
an
camera
answer.
maintenance for 1,000 on the
Yes.
reconciliation list and the $80,000 for the CAD on the reconciliation list.
Good.
Okay.
Anything else? This committee is adjourned. Okay, thank you very much. And we are going to, some of the committee members